What if I told you that one helicopter changed how the US military moves, fights, and survives? Not with speed, not with weapons, but with raw strength? This helicopter doesn't look futuristic. It doesn't hide its size, and it doesn't try to be quiet. Yet for decades, when the mission was heavy, urgent, or impossible, this was the helicopter they called. This is the story of the CH-47D Chinook, a machine so reliable that it became a backbone of American military aviation. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the Chinook didn't just serve history, it carried it. A world that needed a different helicopter. In the early Cold War years, the United States faced a serious challenge. Troops needed to move faster, supplies needed to reach remote locations, and battlefields were no longer close to roads or runways. Traditional helicopters simply couldn't lift enough. The solution wasn't speed. The solution was capacity. That's where the Chinook concept was born. Why two rotors? Simple, safe explanation. The CH-47D Chinook's most iconic feature is impossible to miss. Two massive rotors. This design wasn't about style. It allowed the helicopter to lift heavier loads, stay stable under stress, eliminate the need for a tail rotor. By splitting the lifting work between two rotors, the Chinook achieved something rare: power without complexity. The evolution toward the CH-47D. Earlier Chinook versions existed before the D model, but the CH-47D marked a turning point. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a transformation. Key improvements: high level, modernized cockpit, stronger structure, improved reliability, better flight systems. This made the CH-47D the most widely used and trusted Chinook variant for decades. First impression, a flying giant. Seeing a CH-47D up close is unforgettable. It looks wide, tall, purpose-built. This helicopter doesn't try to hide what it is. It's a workhorse designed to lift, carry, and survive. And pilots often say the same thing. It looks big because it needs to be. What the CH-47D was built to do. The Chinook wasn't designed for a single task. It was built to transport troops, carry heavy cargo, support disaster relief, operate in extreme environments. From deserts to mountains, from snow to heat, the CH-47D proved it could operate where others struggled. The sound you never forget. There's something unmistakable about a Chinook. Before you see it, you hear it. That deep, rhythmic rotor sound became a symbol of arrival, support, rescue. For many on the ground, hearing a Chinook meant one thing: help is here. Flying the CH-47D, pilot experience safe. Pilots describe flying the CH-47D as smooth, predictable, surprisingly agile for its size. Despite its weight, the Chinook responds calmly and confidently. That confidence matters, especially when flying close to terrain or carrying heavy external loads. Inside the cockpit, high-level, non-sensitive, the CH-47D introduced a more modern cockpit compared to earlier versions. This improved situational awareness, crew coordination, mission efficiency. But what mattered most wasn't technology. It was clarity and reliability. No unnecessary complexity. Just information that pilots could trust. The crew, teamwork in the sky. Flying the Chinook is never a solo effort. It requires two pilots, flight engineers, load specialists. Every mission depends on communication and trust. The CH-47D doesn't forgive careless mistakes, but it rewards disciplined crews. When history looks back at America's greatest military machines, some will be remembered for speed, some for firepower, but the CH-47D Chinook will be remembered for something far more important. It carried America when nothing else could. From frozen mountains to burning deserts, from disaster zones to distant battlefields, this helicopter became a lifeline, not because it was perfect, but because it was always there. The moment the Chinook proved itself. By the time the CH-47D entered full service, expectations were high. The U.S. military didn't just want a helicopter that could fly. They wanted one that could perform under pressure. And pressure came fast. The Chinook was deployed to environments where roads didn't exist, runways were impossible, weather changed without warning. This is where the CH-47D began building its reputation. Mountains, heat, and thin air. One of the greatest challenges for any helicopter is high altitude. Thin air means less lift, less margin for error. Yet the CH-47D repeatedly demonstrated that it could lift heavy loads in mountain regions, transport troops to isolated areas, operate where smaller helicopters struggled. Pilots trusted it not because it was easy, but because it was predictable. The logistics king. Wars are not won by weapons alone. They are won by fuel, food, equipment, medical supplies. The CH-47D became the backbone of logistics. It could carry vehicles, artillery, construction materials, emergency supplies. Every successful mission on the ground depended on helicopters like the Chinook in the air. Disaster relief, when war isn't the mission. One of the most powerful chapters of the CH-47D story happened outside combat. When disasters struck and floods, earthquakes, hurricanes, the Chinook was often among the first responders. Why? Because it could carry massive relief supplies, evacuate large numbers of people, land in areas with no infrastructure. In these moments, the Chinook wasn't a military symbol. It was a humanitarian lifeline. The Chinook sound meant hope. For people stranded after disasters, the sound of a Chinook overhead meant something powerful. It meant rescue, supplies, survival. That deep rotor sound became associated not with fear, but with help arriving from the sky. Few aircraft earn that kind of reputation. Why troops trusted the CH-47D? Ask anyone who flew in the back of a Chinook and you'll hear similar stories. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't quiet, but it felt solid. Troops trusted it because it could take damage and keep flying. It handled rough landings. It rarely quit on a mission. Trust like that can't be designed. It has to be earned. The crew's responsibility. Every Chinook mission depended on teamwork. Inside the helicopter, pilots focused on flight and navigation. Crew members monitored systems. Loadmasters ensured balance and safety. Every decision mattered. When lifting heavy cargo or flying into tight zones, the margin for error was small, and discipline was everything. Night, dust, and zero visibility. Some of the most demanding Chinook missions happened when visibility was poor. Dust, wind, and darkness tested pilot skill, crew coordination, aircraft reliability. The CH-47D wasn't immune to danger, but it was designed to handle stress without surprise. That mattered more than speed or advanced features. Why the CH-47D lasted so long? Many military aircraft are replaced quickly. The CH-47D wasn't. It stayed relevant because its mission didn't change. Its design aged well. Its reliability saved time and lives. Upgrades helped, but the core design remained strong. Sometimes the best innovation is knowing when not to change too much. The Chinook and America's global presence. Wherever American forces operated, the Chinook followed. It became a symbol of reach, support, capability. If equipment needed to move, the Chinook was there. If people needed help, the Chinook arrived. Stories you don't see on camera. The most important Chinook missions rarely made headlines. They were quiet. Night supply drops. Emergency evacuations. Equipment recovery. But without these missions, nothing else would work. The CH-47D didn't seek attention. It delivered results. The emotional bond with the machine. For many pilots and crew members, the Chinook wasn't just equipment. It was a workplace, a protector, a responsibility. They trusted it with their lives, and it earned that trust again and again.